Let's do it.
Slammiversary is this weekend.
Hell yeah.
Have we talked about the Matt and Jeff Hardy video yet?
We have not.
Oh, dear God Almighty. Please.
My brother Bryan.
What did you think when you first saw this?
I loved it. But, you know, this wasn't the first time that I've seen this Matt Hardy character. I've been watching it for a few weeks, and I was very baffled at first. I think a couple weeks ago when I did the review, I said he was using some strange Zoolander-ish accent, and he looked like he was really hungover. And I think he's playing this character to a T. I don't know what the character really is, but that entire segment was something else. They had like their family's heirloom table that they decided to break at the end. Like, whose idea was that? That was the worst table bump. That was the most dangerous table bump I may have ever seen.
It was very wacky.
Like, they jump off, they hit the table, and then they smack on the concrete. That doesn't sound safe. It didn't break their fall at all to me. There were some other glaring things in that video, such as, Matt tells him to follow me to where all began is where it will end. And then he walks over and, as you've mentioned many times, he goes to the gardener and then goes in the building. But why is Jeff like a minute behind him?
Well, Matt was walking with a purpose.
Oh, yeah, I guess Jeff does have that injured leg as well, right?
Do you know who the gardener was?
No.
It's Rebby Sky's dad.
Really?
Yeah. Which is actually amazing because Rebby Sky comes in with a fake baby, and she throws the fake baby. And so the obvious question would be, where's Maxwell? But it makes sense now because of the scene they shot with the gardener. She gave the real baby to the gardener, who is her dad.
Genius.
It's amazing. When I first watched it, I thought, this is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen, but, I mean, it's just so dumb. Like, I shouldn't say dumb. It's just kind of like, this ain't selling one buy. But
Bullshit.
Then, as each day passed, and the more I watched it, and the more people were talking about it, like, it's all I could talk about for like 3 days on Observer Live, the more I realized this actually was a big success. I did a Twitter poll. They've had at least 60 buys. So, hey, good for them.
Yeah. I voted in that Twitter poll, so one of those was mine. But the acting is
Your money's as good as anybody else's.
Maybe better.
The acting.
So it was like the acting is so over the top in that. I loved when Rebby throws the baby at Jeff and he catches it. And he's, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, what do you mean what's wrong with it? She tossed you a fake baby. It's not as if she actually threw Maxwell at you and like threw him like a football, You should be like, oh, okay, you're actually not insane. I don't know.
I
loved it, though.
It was awesome. Now, to be fair, I don't give a shit about their match. I won't lie. But I absolutely, absolutely adored that video. I love it more every time I watch it. And it's become a thing where everybody's making they're editing their own videos together using this as the template.
Yeah. I actually, I think we should write some lyrics for Jeremy Borash's music video that he did for it there.
Sure.
To go along with it.
It'd be a great contest.
Here comes Broken Man.
All right, take us through this Impact report. Leading into Slammiversary here.
Okay, hold on. This is the first time, Brian, in a long time that I recapped every single segment. So we will have an accurate,
oh my God,
accurate number of segments.
Tom, I love you, but do me a favor. Don't go over the play-by-play of every match. We're going to be here for 3 hours.
Okay.
Just give us the gist of the situation.
By the way, thanks. That means a lot to me, what you just said.
Why?
You said you love me.
I do love you.
It's been a while. It's been a while since anyone said that to me.
But don't read all these fucking match moves. I don't love that.
All right. So the opening segment is we have Dixie in the back, and she's speaking to a mystery man in a suit who appears to be EC3. And lo and behold, it was EC3. So much like Nakamura, I may be a genius. So we go to another video review segment of last week's show. So there's two. The third segment up next, we have the Miracle, who's in the ring. And he says Dixie's giving control of the show to someone. He wants whoever it is to come out. Out comes EC3. tells the Miracle he's giving him the night off, calls out the custodian, and tells Mike Bennett that you will be the custodian tonight. You will be taking his job for the evening. And he also tells...
Like the legit custodian?
Yes. He turns
I thought there was a new
custodian.
wrestler.
I'm sorry?
I thought there was a new wrestler.
Nope. He calls out the actual, some like skinny ass custodian. The guy comes out. He has the mop bucket, and he's got like a, what is it, piso mojado sign or whatever it is, wet floor. Or, yeah, I don't know what the hell he had, but he had the mop bucket. He came out, and then.
So it wasn't Kenny Omega, the cleaner.
No, it was not Kenny.
It was
Omega.
The custodian.
It was not the broom. It was none of that. It wasn't Vladimir Matyushenko.
It wasn't the broom that got broken over Conan at the Nitro show.
Nah, it wasn't the janitor. It wasn't any of those guys.
Okay.
This was the actual custodian. It probably really was the actual custodian in the building. But Mike Bennett will now be the custodian for the night. So next segment is
It's doubtful
Lashley.
they could pay to hire a man to play a custodian. So my guess would be it was the actual custodian.
I believe so. I don't know. Maybe they didn't re-sign Bram this month, and they used the money for the custodian.
Could have been.
So Lashley comes out, and he has a face-off with EC3, and EC3 tells him that he has allowed Drew Galloway to choose Lashley's opponent tonight. We go to commercial, and then we have EC3 and the Miracle in the bathroom. EC3 gives a play-by-play. This is one of the reasons I like EC3. He does comedy pretty well. I don't know if it's just the way that his character is set up, but he's able to kind of do some comedic things and get away with it compared to some other the more serious wrestlers, I guess. So EC3 is giving like a play-by-play of each bathroom stall to the Miracle as they are in the bathroom, and one stall included a number 4. I don't know what that is.
Don't look at me, dude.
I know what a number 1 is. I know what a number 2 is. Not quite sure what a number 4 is.
Vomit.
But I don't know. Could be. Then I do know what that is. So next segment is Galloway. He informs Lashley he'll be facing Bram. So Bram comes out. Lashley has the match won in control, but decides instead to beat Bram up with a chair and then spears him. So he's been disqualified. Galloway runs out for the save to chase him away. Then, as Galloway chases Lashley away, we have my man, Eli Drake, who runs down to the ring with his briefcase from Feast or Famine, or Feast or Fired, or whatever the hell it is. And he cashes in this this briefcase. There's a very irate fan who is clearly not a fan of Eli Drake, who is super pissed when Eli Drake makes the first cover and he expects the match to be over. But he's very happy when Bram kicks out. So we do, in fact, have a fan who is very invested in this match. They have a short match, ends with Drake hitting he has a cravat, he hits a knee lift, and then a spinning clothesline, and pins Bram for the 3 count and the win. So we have a new King of the Mountain champion hailing from none other than right here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Tom, why the hell is this called the TNA King of the Mountain title, besides the fact that it was won in a King of the Mountain match?
Well, it's supposedly supposed to be defended in King of the Mountain matches.
Well, this wasn't a King of the Mountain match, nor is the one on the actual pay-per-view coming up on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but if these had to be defended in King of the Mountain matches, how could he even cash in the briefcase? There would have to be 5 other guys out in the ring.
You'd have to hang one of the briefcases.
I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I don't know. To me, it kind of looked like Drew Galloway pretty much screwed over Bram here. Chased Lashley away and then left Bram high and dry. So Galloway basically Bram got beat up because of him, and then had his title taken away because of Galloway. So way to go, buddy. Way to help out your fellow. What is it? Not a countryman, but. Is that the same? No, it's not the same country. It would be the same nation.
Dude.
What?
Let's move on.
Okay. Bromans and Raquel at the pool. She's the worst actor in TNA history.
But she's at the pool.
She's at the pool, but, I mean, she's hot. She's not the best I've ever seen. She's close, but whatever. So we go to the next segment, and EC3 and Miracle are in the bathroom. Someone is taking a shit, and it turns out that it's Earl Hebner. And he comes out of the stall, and he calls the Miracle a piece of shit. Mike Bennett, not happy about having to clean this stall after Earl Hebner was just in there. If we remember back a few weeks ago, he beat up Earl Hebner in a match. So one thing I found kind of alarming about this as well is that Hebner was the ref in the last match. So he must be like, he's what would probably be known as a one-hitter shitter. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. So we have a replay of Eli Drake winning the title, because if you forgot 10 minutes ago, we must remind you. So Eli busts into the back. He calls over all of his best friends who appear to be random production people, and he's pouring champagne on them, throwing it in their face. And then he takes over a dressing room for a private party. Next, we have the beginning of what I would call the Ballad of Brother Nero.
He couldn't leave the building to have his party. He had to have it in a dressing room after his match at the show.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, in the back. And he just took over a dressing room. He walked by one, noticed nobody was in there, went in there, closed the door, and said this is a private party. So I don't know what the hell the guy's doing in the locker room by himself with a bottle of champagne for a few hours. We had the beginning of that Jeff and Matt Hardy segment. Then we have the Miracle in the ring, again in a ref suit. Tyrus and Spud come out, and they face the Bromans with Raquel. Tyrus beats up Robbie E., including doing a set of push-ups on top of Robbie E., which may have been the most painful spot in the entire show. Then Raquel distracts Tyrus by bending. This sucks because she's bending over like in front of him, but he's facing the hard cam, and her butt is to the hard cam, but being blocked by the apron of the ring. So she's bending over, but away from him, and he is mesmerized. I don't get it.
You got a very active imagination.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in his case, I'd take Raquel if I'm him. So the bromance hit the bro down on Spud, and he taps out feverishly while Mike Bennett reluctantly rings the bell. Then we have in the ring, so EC3's in the back, and he's talking down to Maria. Then we have in the ring Ali, Sienna, and Maria, and out comes EC3, and he gets a hey, hey, goodbye chant going to send Sienna and Ali to the back, and he sets up a match between Maria and Gail for the upcoming Slammiversary pay-per-view.
Which is now off the show.
Is it?
Yep, Maria broke her hand, so no match.
Well, he booked, EC3 booked Sienna and Ali versus Gail and Jade right now. So Ali, who's also known as Cherry Bomb previously, she's wrestling shoeless and in a business skirt. And I ain't even mad about that. It was awesome. So she does a really good job of playing, basically her character is like someone who can't wrestle and is scared to get in there, but she does it really well. Jade was very impressive in this match. German suplex Sienna with relative ease. She got a ton of offense. Eventually, Ali tags in and gets hit with a package pile driver. Now, remember when I said Ali was wearing a business skirt, and she got hit with a package pile driver. So let me tell you that I am sure that Ed, Jim, everybody was calling up their closest, dearest friends and telling them to turn on to Pop TV right at that moment.
Are you following Jim on Twitter?
I am.
Did you see he posted a new photograph of himself?
I did not, but I will tell you I voted no for Michelle McCool going into the WWE Hall of Fame.
The WWE? Why? Who cares? It's the WWE Hall of Fame.
I care enough. I mean, we got Donald Trump in there, future president. So next we have another Matt and Jeff segment where Matt was playing the piano and Jeff walked in. I knew you would come. So then we go back to the ringside, and Maria is still out there. She will not leave. Mike Bennett now has the mic. He says he's done cleaning toilets. He's here to be a wrestler. EC3 comes out, says he's got someone for him to wrestle, and brings out James Storm. Now, earlier on, EC3 legit told Mike Bennett, you're going to be the custodian. You're not a wrestler tonight. You have the night off. Then he went back on that promise. What a jerk. So they have a match. Storm spins out of he picks up Bennett and spins him. I don't know what this move's called, but he has him up in the Razor's Edge and spins him in a circle, lets him go, tosses him to the mat. But eventually he is distracted by Maria, gets schoolboyed for the 1-2-3 distraction finish. EC3 then comes out and distracts Mike Bennett. Storm hits him with the super kick, and that is the end of that segment. We then have Al Snow in the ring saying that wrestling is great again. Thanks, Kenny King and Rhett Titus, for that one. So Snow calls out the Tribunal, who is Baron Dax and the former Sylvester Lafort, but I cannot pronounce his current name. And Grado and Mahabali Shira come out. They play footage of Snow cheating to beat Grado.
Are you talking about Baron Dax or Basile Baraka?
Basile. Wouldn't it be Basile?
No.
Baraka.
Maybe Basile.
Yeah, I think it's Basile Baraka. I could be wrong. But
I like a Basile.
Al Snow claims that anybody, any kid, can doctor footage with an app, which he's pretty much true about. That's a true statement. So then I swear to God, Brian, this is no joke. What started a fight between these two groups is that Al Snow says to Grado, "Your mom really likes me."
A mama joke.
He used the old "your mama" joke. Grado gets pissed, and they have a fight, and the Tribunal lays a pretty vicious beatdown on top of these guys. So the Tribunal also appears to have stolen the Spirit Squad's old uniforms for their gimmick, which is something else. So we have a video package for Braxton Sutter, who says that signing his TNA contract was one of the best days of his life. I'd love to hear. I would love to hear Dave.
Tom, he said one of.
He did. He did.
Therefore,
say one
it's
of.
Okay.
He said he was very, very happy when he could go tell his parents that all his hard work and all the support that they gave him finally paid off. So,
paid off.
Feel good story. They have a Slammiversary rundown of the card, and then we have the second to last segment of Jeff and Matt, where Jeff approaches the ring. Matt's in the ring. They're arguing.
Oh, we know.
And then the final match of the evening is Drew Galloway, and Lashley is able to pick his opponents, and Lashley books Drew against all three members of the Decay. So Galloway takes over on the tag champs, fires up for the Claymore kick, gets caught in a choke slam. Earl Hebner is then distracted by Rosemary. Lashley hits the ring, goes for a spear on Galloway, but Galloway moves. Lashley nails Abyss. Galloway hits the Future Shock DDT on Crazy Steve, and he defeats not only the tag champs, but their manager 3-on-1 solo. Oh, well, I guess he had some help from Lashley, but this is like my most hated booking decision of all time. When the champion, the singles champion, defeats both tag champs in a match.
Well, because WWE does it, and because they do bathroom humor, thus TNA has to do the same thing on their show. And yes, both of them suck.
Yeah. So then was the ending of the segment between Jeff and Matt, where they destroyed what was probably what's their father's name? Do you remember?
Oh God, the hell was his name? I can't remember.
I can't remember either, but I love seeing him in there with Maxwell. But in my mind, I'd like to imagine that he had spent all of his hard-earned Gilbert Hardy, that he had spent all of his hard-earned money up throughout, even from the days of the Confederacy down in Carolinas, and he had saved up all his money and bought this great, beautiful heirloom, this family heirloom table, and they destroyed it.
I got one question about that video segment now that I think about it. So they shot it like a movie, and they had an overhead shot.
What kind of movie
an awesome movie, Tom. Don't interrupt my important analysis here that I'm making about this.
Bryan, do you think that or that has better production or worse production than Sunny Side Up?
I haven't seen that, but I'll bet you anything it's better.
Well, the acting may be better, but the production...
Here's my point. They shot it like a movie. They had overhead shots. They shot it like film. They did the whole 9 yards. It was like a movie. It wasn't like your traditional backstage pro wrestling sporting event style deal. So knowing that, why didn't they put a crash pad down and not kill themselves with the table bump and just shoot that like a movie?
You're asking for some logic?
Yeah.
Regarding this segment?
Tom, I'm asking you for logic about shooting a movie about professional wrestling. Get with the program. All right, seriously.
For you.
One other thing here before we go. I want to run down the Slammiversary lineup, and since you are the last holdout that has been watching and reviewing Impact every week here on this website, I want you to give your thoughts on all of the matches. Are you ready?
No, but lay it on me.
Who is going to win Jade versus Sienna for the TNA Knockouts title?
Jade.
Who will win your main man Trevor Lee with Gregory Shane Helms versus Andrew Everett also with Gregory Shane Helms versus DJZ versus Eddie Edwards for the X Division title?
Eddie Edwards is going to win that match.
Why do you say that?
Because I noticed Josh Matthews yesterday putting up like articles on Twitter about how Eddie Edwards should be the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, which leads me to believe that he is going to get a push and win this X Division title tomorrow. I mean, really, the whole storyline was built around when David Richards got hurt. Shane Helms wanted Eddie Edwards to kind of join his stable. He refused, and now he's in a feud with them, and DJZ is kind of on his side, but. I think that this is a 4-way X Division match for the title. So I don't know what's going to happen here. Maybe DJZ turns, but I think Edwards is walking away with the belt.
Braxton Sutter versus an opponent to be determined.
Well, I'm going to go with TBD.
Really? Who do you think that's going to be?
I've seen him more than I've seen Braxton Sutter.
Oh, you may be right about that.
I have no clue. I mean, Chris Melendez, no, probably not, because this guy's a baby face. I don't know. Maybe he's a heel, actually. I mean, he did talk really good about TNA, so to some fans, he's probably a bad guy.
What about the Tribunal, Basil Baraka and Baron Dax against Grado and Mahabali Shira? Or as I like to call him, Mahabali Shira.
Shira? I think the Tribunal will win.
Because they're new.
Because they're new, and it would make no sense for them to come in and lose right off the bat, especially to Grado and Shira. I think that they'll probably play this angle out a little bit longer, which is fine. Actually, this angle kind of grew on me with Al Snow's performance this week, because he's right. You really could take any footage you want, and some 9-year-old kid could go on his iPhone and doctor it.
What about Eli Drake against your main man, the newly re-signed Bram?
Well, I'm going to go with the man from Las Vegas, Nevada, a man that I witnessed in-person battle for the FSW Heavyweight Championship a few weeks ago. Eli Drake is going to retain his title.
We have the Decay, which is a bit in Crazy Steve, against the Bromans with your main squeeze, Raquel.
Bromans.
Bromans all the way. They'd be winning the tag team titles?
Correct, yeah. Well, you know what's really bizarre to me is I feel like the Decay had some momentum up until they won the titles. And then since then they've been kind of just put on the back burner. So they've been misused, and I think that this is just kind of a placeholder and a way to get the belts back on a babyface team. I'm not sure if the plan was to have the Decay be the champions anyways until the Wolves went down, because it seemed as if they were still building for Wolves and beer money. But with the Decay being the champions, they haven't really done much. So I think that the Bromans are going to pull it out here. It would make more sense to me to have that happen since they have Raquel in the mix now. And they've been pushing that pretty hard on TV.
Mike Bennett and Ethan Carter III.
EC3. EC3 has to win that. Bennett already holds the win over him. The first man to pin or submit EC3. So I've got to imagine EC3 is going to get his revenge here. It looks to me as if they've been still building towards Lashley versus EC3 feud. So that'll probably answer your question about what I think is going to happen with Lashley and Galloway, because I think Lashley's going to walk out the champ, and then I think you're going to have EC3 defeating him, maybe at Bound for Glory or whatever the next actual pay-per-view they do is.
We have got Jeff versus Matt Hardy in a Full Metal Mayhem match.
The fans.
Of course. Gilbert will be the loser, however, as his sons go to battle. Let's talk about some of the professional wrestling, because I know we got a lot to talk about here. There's Impact, there's Slammiversary. You enjoyed Slammiversary.
I did. I did not think that... well, let me just say that this was by far the best TNA pay-per-view this year.
Tom, don't forget there actually was a pay-per-view in January.
Which one?
I don't know. TNA had a January pay-per-view, I recall.
Well, this one was better, I can tell you that much. It was also probably better than the TNA Knockouts One Night Only pay-per-view, although I did not catch the entire thing. Yeah, I thought Slammiversary was pretty good, actually. None of the matches I felt were totally offensive. Obviously there's some other people who have had differing opinions, but
Are you calling out Dave right now?
Well, yeah. I think, you know what? Maybe Dave had a bad weekend.
Yeah, he didn't like Raw either. I thought Raw was pretty good, and he hated it.
Yeah, didn't like Slammiversary, didn't like Raw. I thought they were both fine. So Slammiversary, unfortunately for them, was held the night after, or could technically be the same day as the horrific shootings that took place in Orlando. As a longtime resident of Orlando, this place, the club Pulse, was actually very, very close to the professional wrestling school that I started training at. I mean, like across the street close. So, I'm very familiar with the area. Luckily, I know a lot of people in Orlando, but they were not involved in this horrific situation. But the show opened at Slammiversary with a video package of all the wrestlers on the ramp and the obligatory hashtag of Orlando Strong. So my thoughts and prayers go out to those victims. We then get a video package showing all the major matches, including the highlight of this package, which was Eli Drake standing on top of a mountain.
Because he is the king of the mountain.
I'm glad he got that. It took me a while on that one. So the first matchup that we have in the pay-per-view, the X Division title match, we have Andrew Everett versus Trevor Lee versus Eddie Edwards versus DJZ. And Andrew Everett.
Did you get inside information about this match? Because you predicted that Eddie Edwards was going to win, and he did.
Have you been looking at the TNA spoilers as well?
No, I haven't.
You could be led to believe that I did have inside information. However, I didn't. Huh. I've just been watching the show, and I can kind of see where I think I figured out where they were going with the booking. So, actually, on the show, if you go back and look at my predictions, I believe I only got one match wrong. So, pretty damn good job by me. Anyways, Sugar Shane Helms brings out the Helms Dynasty, Everett and Trevor Lee. They are then informed that Helms is banned from ringside at the outset for his previous interference. And this is where the Pope claims that Helms' new suit is now $99 gone to waste. So the best comment that Pope has made in months on commentary here. The baby faces use this kind of distraction with Helms leaving to take over. Lots of dives and big flying spots. There was an awesome double stomp, the caveman double stomp by Trevor Lee, where he leaped in the air and crushed DJZ to the mat. Eventually, some dissension between the Helms dynasty allows Eddie Edwards to take over. There's every near fall in the book in this match until eventually Eddie Edwards counters a Fisherman's Buster attempt by Trevor Lee. Hits a small package for the 3 count, and we have a new X Division champion, Eddie Edwards.
How about that?
This was a pretty damn good match. Unfortunately, it's probably the best maybe second best match on the show, but it went downhill for a little bit here. Next, we have EC3 giving a pretty nice promo, calls the miracle a false prophet, and says that much like Moses came down from Mount Sinai with his 10 commandments, he's coming with 2 fists and 10 knuckles and Old Testament vengeance. Then we cut back to the ring, and we have the Tribunal with Al Snow, ready to take on Mahabali Shera and Grado. So Al Snow is in a France jumper outfit, and he has a whistle that he continuously blows the whole time. Very reminiscent of the Fonzie gimmick from ECW, just blowing the whistle annoyingly the entire match. Pope claims that he has done some journalistic research, and Josh cuts him off and says, "Really? Because you showed up at 7:55 right before the pay-per-view." So totally cutting down the Pope.
Man, maybe Kevin Owens is responsible for that one too.
Yeah. I will say, after watching this match, that Mahabali Shera is at least 4.7 times better than he was before. That's not a joke. He's much, much improved. The match consisted of Al Snow interference that allowed the heels to get the heat on Shera for pretty much the entire match. His one hope spot that I remember was a sky high. Maybe he had a few punches, maybe not. That's all I remember seeing him do over a 5 to 10 minute heat segment. Eventually, Grado walks in the ring, beats up the heels, Irish whips Shera into their own corner, walks back, makes the tag, comes in with his own hot tag, including some Dusty Rhodes elbows before Snow distracts him. Grado turns around, gets hit with a double team spine buster. He is able to fight out of that, gets up, makes the hot tag to Shera, who's coming back in, and he has the best offense that he has ever had. Not saying much, but it is much, much improved. Some clotheslines. His punches are 1,000 times better. Hits some back elbows. The Tribunal cut him off. They used some confusion and distraction by Snow to hit the worst version of Demolition's finisher I've ever seen and get the 3 count.
A stunning victory.
The lack of ability to hit the backbreaker and elbow drop off the second rope was stunning, Brian. Braxton Sutter then walks into the arena, and immediately they must have you must walk into the arena and immediately you're in a interview segment. It must be like a closet in the back, because Sutter walks in to the arena and then just somehow stumbles into an interview that James Storm is doing. Much like Sami Zayn. Was it Sami Zayn that did that a few weeks ago?
I believe so, yes.
Stumbled into Cesaro's interview. Very reminiscent of that here. Or actually, it would have been the precursor, I think. So, regardless, James Storm says, "Hey, let me talk to you about something," and pulls him away. We get a recap of Gail and Maria's angle. Maria, of course, is in charge of the knockouts, and she has been making Gail's life a living hell. Fortunately, she has not gone so far to try to push her onto train tracks to get rid of her. Maria is out with her broken hand, along with her assistant, Allie, who I think is my favorite knockout by far. Allie has the mic and is screaming in the most annoying voice possible that, "Listen, Maria's injury is real! It's real!" I think she's just a great, great character, plays it to a T. Out comes a baby. I think it was a giant baby in a suit, but I then realized it was Billy Corgan. He says that Maria is in fact injured, but when she's cleared, Gail will get her shot at her. They then insert Gail into the Knockouts title match between Jade and Sienna. So we have a 3-way. I do remember Dave saying this match was really bad. I realize I either have very low expectations or I'm an extreme optimist, because I kind of like this match.
Maybe a little of both.
Yeah, could be. Towards the end, there were a lot of near falls, a lot of chaos. Eventually, Gail hits the feet, has the win seemingly in her hands. Allie pulls out Earl Hebner. Maria distracts him. Allie goes and grabs the Knockouts title, throws the belt into Sienna. But before Sienna can use it, Marti Bell appears. And Marti Bell appears as if she's going to hit Sienna. However, she turns and attacks Jade with a tire iron, lays her out. Sienna then gets on top, makes the 3 count. Sienna doesn't know what happened with Marti Bell, kind of confused, but she takes the opportunity and wins the title anyways. We have a new Knockouts champion, and now the title and the control of the Knockouts division are seemingly in Maria's hands. We have James Storm out next and says he has been around TNA for 15 years, since day one.
Sounds like a Briscoes promo.
Does he? I mean, he left. Did he forget that?
We're supposed to forget that.
Well,
your son hasn't forgotten that.
No, he hasn't. He's very upset by this match. Even though it was a solid TV match, not much to it. It has been said before, much like the ring girl from EFN, Braxton Sutter is a professional. Don't you forget it. Eventually, Storm hits a code breaker and a last call super kick to the nipples that gives Storm the win, the 3 count. After the match, they drink a few beers. Nothing like a loss and being called old by the commentators to get over a new guy in a promotion. So Braxton Sutter looked okay. I don't think this did very much for him in the grand scheme of things, but perhaps I just need to wait and see where it goes. We then have Jeremy Borash with Eli Drake.
Let me interrupt you very quickly because I've gotten some information here about the Fedor Fabio decision. It was a split decision. So one of the judges thought that Fabio won that fight.
Yeah, one of those judges may be heading to a firing squad.
Could be. Enough. Could be.
So we have Eli Drake in the back with Jeremy Borash. Eli cuts a pretty good promo, says that he's the cock of the walk. Bram is just crazy. However, he's just crazy enough to put his life on the line by stepping in there against Eli Drake for that King of the Mountain title. And then, of course, he drops a dummy, yeah, and takes off. So the next match is Bram versus Eli Drake. Immediately, Drake tries to take a powder to the back, which leads to some brawling on the outside, including a backdrop onto the exposed concrete as Bram went for his brighter side of suffering DDT. Eli Drake then scales the ropes in an attempt to taunt Bram and the crowd and falls to the inside. Now, this is the second time during the match where Drake tried to stand on the ropes and fell to the inside because he also tripped right at the beginning, trying to get into the ring. So not the most graceful as this Eli Drake.
Hell's going on with little Finn over there?
I don't know.
He's having a lot of fun doing something.
He's a really loud guy. He may be playing with Captain Calamari.
I want to thank you for Captain Calamari and Mongolian Moose or whatever the other thing was. She made it all the way to Starbucks and back, no tears. It was great.
Yeah, it's Mortimer the Moose.
Mortimer the Moose.
Mortimer.
Yes, yeah. Mortimer.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Captain Calamari, but I figured because of Whitney's affinity for the sea,
I see,
that it would be a good creature to send.
I'll let her know that.
Yep. Okay, so they have a double down on a double clothesline. Bram then takes over and throws Drake into the ropes and hits a pop-up powerbomb, but he threw him too high and almost lost him on it. Pretty dangerous move. Bram then hits his DDT, but Eli Drake is a former product of the WWE developmental system and knows that if a guy hits his finisher and you're near the ropes, just roll to the outside. So he rolls out of the ring. Bram brings him back in, goes for the DDT again, but Drake fights out, hits his finisher blunt force trauma, which is a cravat followed by a knee and then a spinning clothesline combination for the 3 count and the win. So Eli Drake, my man, is still the King of the Mountain champion.
He's my man, too.
He's not Mike Sempervive's man, apparently. Huh?
No, of course not.
Okay. So then we have EC3 versus the Miracle. This is a pretty good match. Each guy had some good offense. They kicked out of a lot of each other's moves, their big finishers, their signature moves. Bennett kicked out of a 1%er about midway through the match. At one point, EC3 kicked out of the Miracle in Progress Michinoku driver onto a chair. I wish they would really rename that move. I like Mike Bennett a lot, but the Miracle in Progress needs to be changed. So there's lots of near falls and kickouts here. EC3 eventually hits a TK3, which also needs to be renamed, followed by a 1%er for the win, the 3 count. And there's a great fan in a full Jeff Hardy bodysuit. Maybe it was a Shrek bodysuit. I'm not entirely sure. Face paint. And he has a EC3 foam finger and EC3 sign, and he knew every damn word in that EC3 entrance song after the match. We then have a Matt Hardy promo, the broken Matt Hardy, followed by a Matt Hardy and Brother Nero recap. So, are you ready, Brian?
For the main event, the epic broken Matt Hardy versus Brother Nero match. Yes, I am.
Okay, give me 1 second. Hold on. Okay. We have broken Matt Hardy versus Brother Nero. This was a match that sealed the fate of Brother Nero. The deplorable use of many weapons, including chairs, ladders, trash cans, is something that no true brother would succumb to. Brother Nero was able to pierce the proverbial flesh of Matt with a splash through the world's largest ladder. Brother Nero pulls out the world's longest ladder, leaps through the heavens, and splashes broken Matt through it. Brother Nero then decides to defy.
Is that Maxwell in the background, by the way, adding ambiance?
No.
Apologize.
What the hell is wrong with you? Brother Nero defies the bond between himself and broken Matt and gives him a twist of fate through a table, a swanton bomb through a table, and finally leaps over the post to the outside, crashing through Matt and giving Brother Nero the ill-fated victory and 3-count win.
Man. That was a beautiful rendition of the play-by-play, but it sure made the match seem short and pointless.
Oh, there's a lot of weapons and a lot of high spots.
I see. There's a lot of moves and chicanery.
Chicanery is definitely the word to describe that.
Shit-canery is what it should be.
No. Okay, so then we have the Decay versus Bromans for the TNA tag titles.
How did they not end this with Brother Nero versus Broken Matt Hardy? How is it even possible?
Because the last match was better than that match.
Oh, well, not a better build, I'll tell you that much.
Actually...
Really? You thought the build was better for the main event than for Brother Nero and Matt Hardy? That's impossible.
Better? Yes. More entertaining? No.
Okay.
So next we have the Decay versus the Bromans for the tag title. You know what? I just realized not too long ago, the Decay, basically they named their team after my career.
Oh, wow, Tom. Your career is on the rise.
All right. So the Bromans are trying to win this tag team title for their guru, who, of course, is Raquel. What she's a guru of, I'm not sure. I mean, she's hot. I don't know if you can be a guru of being hot, but perhaps she is. This is a quick match that the Bromans had won with the bro down, but the ref was then misted by Rosemary and was not able to see the submission by Crazy Steve. So the Bromans continue the offense. They look for the bro down again. Jesse Goddard turns over Crazy Steve, has him in the crab. Abyss comes in, makes the save, and nails a black hole slam. And then, in what is probably my favorite tag team finisher currently, he just picks up Crazy Steve and plants him with a power bomb. Absolutely throws him through the mat on top of Jesse Goddard's, and then makes the pin for the 3. So it's an awesome looking finisher. I wish more teams would use that kind of stuff. And go ahead.
I have nothing to add. I didn't see it.
Oh, just imagine Crazy Steve getting balled up and power bombed as hard as he could down to the mat by Abyss onto Jesse Goddard's.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Good thing Jesse Goddard's has like a 12-pack to
he does
to
have he has an
abdomen.
extra pack. That is true.
Yeah. That could be the X pack.
It could be the X pack.
It's not. And the last match is the Destroyer Lashley versus Drew Galloway. So this was a pretty damn awesome match, I thought. Starts off with Lashley in the ring trying to out-wrestle Drew. He uses some heel hooks, some arm bars. Galloway is looking for the Iron Maiden at the beginning of the match. Eventually he locks it on, but Lashley gets to the ropes, causing the ref to break the hold. This match must be won by pinfall or submission. So each guy is trying to lock on submission moves, hitting their big slams. They battle to the outside where Drew Galloway hits I don't know what they call it, but it's the Sheamus white noise or the old, Masawa Emerald Frozen.
Frozen, that's right.
On top of the ring steps. And then he locks in a sharpshooter on top of the ring steps because, that's way more painful than if you just do it on the mat. Right, Brian?
It is. Whenever you do a move on a table or on stairs, man, the added leverage.
Let me tell you, though.
Come on, it's horseshit.
Yes, but Lashley was actually kind of like his upper body was down a step or two. Right? So
that makes it even less painful.
He was alleviating the pressure. So the move was so no wonder he didn't get the win with that move. So they continue to brawl back and forth on the outside. Galloway sets up Lashley on top of a table and hits the ropes hard as hell. Does the big dive to the outside, kind of like the old Undertaker tope over the top. But Lashley moves midway through, and Drew Galloway does an awesome flip bump through the table, crashes and burns on the outside. Lashley throws him back in the ring, sets him up for the finish. Drew Galloway able to fight out, hits a big tombstone, goes to the corner, loads up his leg for the Claymore kick. As he goes towards Lashley, Lashley sidesteps him, nails him with a big right punch. That was it. A huge right hand. Gets Galloway down to the ground, locks him up in the old head and arm choke, very reminiscent of Josh Barnett submitting Dean Lister at Metamoris ages ago. Lashley locks up the head and arm choke, and Galloway passes out, and we have a new champion here at TNA Slammiversary as the Destroyer Lashley walks away with the world title.
Dave thinks that Lashley is just the man now. What do you think?
Well, yeah, he is. He's a lot better. I mean, this match was awesome. Okay, if you want to specifically talk about what Dave was saying, a couple weeks ago, he was saying Drew Galloway was the man. So it seems as if Galloway just passed that title on to Lashley. They've had a really good program between the two of them setting up this title reign. So it has, I think, added a bit more prestige, I guess, to the title. Both guys, have a certain aura. Galloway is great on the independent scene. And obviously Lashley has, the backing of Bellator and his, MMA career. So each guy, is doing very well for themselves as far as getting over and being a character goes. And the feud was really good. I think now, judging by what I've read and what I thought before, that it seems they're going to move towards a Lashley EC3 program, and Galloway may still be in the mix there. But I thought this pay-per-view was pretty good.
Alrighty.
So, anyways,
Impact.
Didn't see it. Yes. So this is the Gold Rush show, which was the ill-fated show that aired 2 hours later than it was supposed to last week. Unfortunately, I watched the feed from the Pop TV website, so my plan was to review the original airing that was the 3 commercials nonstop for 2 hours. I was going to give a play-by-play of those commercials. However, I couldn't find that airing, so you'll have to deal with the actual show of Gold Rush. So, this was, of course, the night after Slammiversary. We have Bobby Lashley out with the TNA title. Here on Gold Rush, all the titles will be defended. EC3 comes out, claims that he wants a title match. Lashley says, look, you've got a real cute nickname, the ass-kicking machine, but you're not real. I'm real. Right? Lashley, as far as I'm concerned, he is not as real as it gets. He's never been in the UFC. So he can only lay claim to being close to real. He might be real, but he's not as real as he can be. He says after he's done with EC3, there's not going to be anyone left. Out comes Drew Galloway, who disagrees. and says he is invoking his rematch clause here tonight in the main event. So that sets up our match for later. Drew Galloway versus Bobby Lashley for the TNA title. Next, we have Jeff Hardy, who challenges Eli Drake to a King of the Mountain title match in the back. Eli Drake accepts. Jeff starts the match off hot, like a house of fire. Eli cuts him off with a clothesline on the outside. At this point, the Pope claims that Eli Drake outweighs Jeff by 50 pounds of pure muscle.
50 pounds?
50 pounds. I swear that's what he said. So I looked it up. Eli Drake is listed at 230 pounds, although I think he may be bigger than that. Jeff Hardy is listed.
Wikipedia?
Yeah. Jeff Hardy is listed at 215 pounds. I think he's heavier than that. However, that brings both of their weights up higher, and there's no way that Eli Drake outweighs Jeff Hardy by 50 pounds of pure muscle. That's a lot. So Eli went for a springboard dropkick, which I've never even seen him jump off the ropes. So way more athletic than I thought. Goes for a springboard dropkick, but Jeff catches him in a power bomb. Jeff goes up top, hits a swanton, and goes for the pin. But lo and behold, out comes Broken Matt, who, in order to stop Earl Hebner's count, bites his hand. Grabs Earl Hebner's hand, and he's biting it to stop the 3 count. Draws blood, and then they have a quick brawl between Jeff and Matt, and then they go to another segment. So that was a pretty cool spot with Matt biting Earl Hebner's hand. We go back to the ring after a commercial, and Jeff is still in the ring. He says he wants a piece of Brother Moore. So now we have not only Brother Nero, but now Matt is Brother Moore. So Matt appears up on the scaffolding.
Talking about Shannon Moore?
Nope. Matt Moore Hardy appears to be his name.
Oh.
Yep. So Matt is up on the scaffolding where Jeff jumped off and broke him. They bicker back and forth. Jeff sets up a table on the bottom of this long, tall staircase. He goes after Matt. Matt, attacks him, gets the jump on him, and then appears Heavy Sky, who sprays Jeff Hardy with a fire extinguisher. And Matt then lays him over down across the railing and pushes him down the railing. So Jeff slides down probably 30 feet on like a staircase and goes through a table that was that he had previously set up. So that was a pretty creative spot. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. Next week, we will have Matt Hardy versus Jeff in a 6 sides of steel cage match. And then in what had to be stolen from the WWE cameramen, they just stared at Matt Hardy awkwardly for about 30 seconds as he stared and snarled and bit at the camera. The camera would look at him and for about 20 seconds.
20 seconds?
Yeah, I said 30 at first. May have been 10, but it was way too long. Next up, we had Trevor Lee versus Eddie Edwards for the X Division title. Eddie Edwards had won the match and won the title the night before on Slammiversary with a small package, I believe. So Shane Helms is back out here in his booger green jacket. He has ditched the $99 suit that he had the night before. Right off the bat,
maybe he took it back.
Could have been, because he got sent to the back before the match even started. So it's almost as if he had never worn it in the first place. He interferes right off the bat as Edwards hits the ropes. And, okay, hold on a second here. I tried to write shorthand notes, and I can't read it. It's kind of like, I feel like Granny.
Shorthand?
Yeah.
It's more like Dave.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so Shane Helms interferes, and there's a point where Trevor Lee is in control. And you know the spot where like Trevor Lee or one guy will hit the ropes and the guy runs to hit the ropes right after him? And then comes back. Okay, so Trevor Lee hits the ropes. Eddie Edwards goes to hit the ropes behind him, but just dives right onto Shane Helms. So this played into the match pretty well and into the whole storyline they've had in this feud because Shane Helms has been interfering nonstop, so much that he had to be banned from ringside. Once he was gone from ringside, Eddie Edwards was able to win the title. So here, Shane Helms is interfering left and right. Eddie Edwards does what would normally be a pretty dumb move and distracts himself in order to take out the guy on the outside. But this was in order to ensure that there would be no more interference. So Edwards dies on Helms, takes him out, gets back in the ring, hits the Boston knee party is what it's called. It's the, I believe it's a Bisaku knee, very similar to the knee that Daniel Bryan was using or Kenta was using for a long time. However, the Pope calls it an enziguri and then corrects himself and calls it a shining wizard, which I'm pretty sure it wasn't either one of those. Next we have, go ahead.
I was just going to say, eventually you get it right.
No.
If you just keep trying.
No, he didn't, though. So next we have the bromans in the back pimping Big Brother After Dark, which apparently is coming to Pop TV. So Jesse Goddard has an iPad, and on the iPad he has views of different camera shots. Apparently he has installed security cameras throughout the entire TNA building, much like Big Brother has cameras everywhere, including a camera in Raquel's locker room, which they briefly show and then cut away from. So this now could be my favorite angle on TNA if they continue to show this. It's kind of like GTV from back in the day. Next we have Dixie, who comes out to introduce the newest Hall of Fame member in TNA. Lo and behold, it's Gail Kim, who apparently in her career has over 2,000 wins. They throw up a bunch of different stats on the screen. Over 2,000 wins. She's the first ever TNA Knockouts champion. She also has a total of 232 days as a Knockouts champion. Over 5 different reigns. So, what are we looking at there? That would be like, like a 43 day title reign average.
It's pretty impressive.
It's not very good. 43 days? God. All right. So, also I noticed during the Gail Kim highlight package that they show a lot of her, hitting her moves, eat defeat, winning a lot of matches. And then just sprinkled in there was Taryn Terrell giving her a diamond cutter off of the stage to the floor. Not quite sure how that made it in there or what they thought was going on, but pretty cool, I guess, to see the first female being inducted into that Hall of Fame. Next, we have a replay of Sienna's Knockouts title win at Slammiversary. Then we have an interview with Marti Bell in the back. Marti Bell, of course, attacked Jade from behind and turned on her, leading to Sienna's victory. Marti says that the Dollhouse, throughout its existence, had many leaders, but it was all about her and Jade, and they were best friends. But when Jade won that title belt, that new belt became her best friend. And Marti was sick of it. So Jade then appears out of nowhere, destroys Marti, throws her to some chairs. They had some pretty back and forth heated ghetto trash talk before being separated. Next match is, once again, it's for the tag team titles here on Gold Rush. Another title match as all the titles are defended. We have the Decay, of course, the champions versus Grado, and Mahabali Shera versus the Bromans versus the Tribunal with Al Snow. Look at this red hot tag team division here in TNA. We have a 4-way match here. I would say that these teams, if you look up and down this match compared to the 4-way match at Money in the Bank last night, very similar skill level between all these teams.
Sure.
And they're all over. So Abyss, I've noticed, has no longer been wearing a mask, just makeup. And before he even got out there, his makeup was all smeared. So pretty much just like Joseph Park in, some shitty clothes. So there's a lot of confusion in this match, as you can imagine, with all these teams. It leads to Jesse Goddard making a hot tag and running wild. So he and Robbie E hit the bro down, which the Pope then calls the Adonis Trap, which I am almost positive it's the Adonis Lock, but whatever. Abyss comes in and cuts him off. Grado then makes a hot tag and comes in and starts running wild. Eventually, Al Snow pushes him off the top rope as Grado is going for a splash or an elbow. Abyss then grabs Crazy Steve, chokeslams him directly onto Grado's face, who did not cover it whatsoever. So Steve took a pretty sick back bump onto Grado's face, crushes him for the 3 count. So Decay, I guess they're not always using the double team power bomb, of Crazy Steve onto the opponent, because here they did a choke slam as well. But I love the idea that their finishing move is just going to be their big guy tossing the little guy as hard as he can on top of you.
Sounds good to me.
Pretty damn effective. Next, we have Miracle and Maria in the ring. They head to the ring to get everything that they want. Everything that they want. What exactly it is, I think it's control over all of TNA. Eventually, Billy Corgan comes out, and he says that if they have some problems or they want to discuss some stuff, some things that they want, they can have a meeting. Set up a meeting, and we can discuss this. Mike Bennett says that the ring is his boardroom. He's not doing any meetings, and they want Dixie out here right now. So Dixie makes her way out. Maria tells Dixie, and this seems to be the beginning of an angle here, that she needs to stop pointing fingers at others and to point the finger at herself. Maria tells Dixie that she can run TNA better than Dixie ever can. She says that her and Billy Corgan and Mike Bennett talk together all the time. They have great ideas for TNA, and that essentially they just need to get Dixie out of the picture in order to make TNA better. Eventually, Maria pokes Dixie in the chest, and Dixie nails her with... It was a slap. It was just a slap, I'll say. So it looks like they're going for the old baby face authority figure versus heel authority figure for control of the company in a way.
No, I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, that's something I haven't seen before. Something very refreshing here in pro wrestling. And the last match of the show, we have Lashley versus Drew Galloway for the TNA World Title. At this point before the match, Josh does indeed claim that this match will be bigger than Superman versus Batman. It will also be bigger than X-Men Apocalypse. So I did a little bit of research here, Brian. X-Men Apocalypse brought in $482 million at the box office.
It's not too bad.
Batman versus Superman brought in $871 million at the box office.
It's more than WWE grosses in a full year.
TNA brought in 200,000 viewers for this show. So
not bigger than Batman versus Superman.
No. In fact, I would like to do a little bit of math. So let's see. 871 million. How many zeros are going to be in that? Let's see. 871, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, divided by 200,000. $4,355 is what they would have to get out of each viewer for that show.
Well, you know what I can tell you, Tom? They are not going to get $4,355 out of every viewer.
No, well, they got $50, maybe $60 from me for Slammiversary.
It's far cry from $43.55.
Yeah. Well, it's not that bad. Only $4,295 to go.
Hey.
Slowly but surely, we'll get there.
That's right.
All right. So we have EC3 at ringside for commentary. Lashley immediately goes for the taped up ribs of Drew Galloway, who apparently is injured from the match previous night at Slammiversary. There was a pretty cool spot here, which I don't think I've ever seen before, where Galloway I think he jumped over Lashley and got behind him and then did a German suplex, but he just threw Lashley into the ropes. Not the turnbuckle, directly into the middle of the ropes. So I don't remember ever seeing that before. Pretty cool move. Lashley then he takes over, gets some offense, drops Galloway rib first on the railing, hits a pretty sweet sidewalk slam off of the steps onto the ring apron, because as you know, that is the hardest part of the ring for sure. Lashley counters Drew Galloway back inside the ring, locks him up into a crossface, which Galloway reverses into a tombstone. There's an awesome sequence of counters here. Lashley goes for an ankle lock. Galloway gets out, steps over the top, and immediately plants Lashley with a pile driver, but only gets 2 count. Puts Lashley up at the top rope, hits a Celtic cross or white noise, or AKA, what did Misawa call it, Brian?
The Emerald Frozen.
Very good. Doing your homework. So it was at this point I realized this is a really good match. These two gel really well together. Pretty much everything they do comes out good. Lashley, at this point, ducks a Claymore kick from Drew Galloway. However, Drew Galloway nails Bryan Hebner. So Bryan Hebner is down and out. Lashley comes back, hits a spear on Galloway. Can't make the 3 count because Hebner is still down. Lashley gets Galloway up, hits another spear. Still no ref, so he decides to go grab a chair. EC3 comes in to make the save. They battle back and forth. EC3 grabs a chair, goes to hit Lashley. Lashley ducks. EC3 misses and instead hits Drew Galloway with the chair. At this point, my good friend, Brian Stifler, runs out and makes the 3 count. Or, I'm sorry, does not make the 3 count. Lashley, once he sees Stifler in the ring, locks up his new finisher, the head and arm triangle choke, as they call it, and he gets the submission win. So Lashley remains the champion. It appears that they are now setting up a title program between EC3, Drew Galloway, and the champion Lashley. And really good main event. I think that the 3-way program between those 3 guys will be pretty damn good. Probably the best thing right now that TNA could do at the top of the card. So Impact from last Tuesday, we have the show opening up with Broken Matt and Brother Nero, who are both looking for revenge tonight, or at least according to the opening video package. Drew Galloway hits the ring and says that he is not here to whine, complain, and bitch. And in quite an unsurprising twist, he claims it's EC3's fault that he's not the champion. So the first thing he did was indeed bitch. They both claim that they elevated the title while they held it, which brings out the champion, Bobby Lashley. Lashley offers them a tag match, and if they can win, they'll each get title shots. And if not, his tag team partner will get a title shot. This brings out my man, Eli Drake, who calls everybody dummies, and we have a match underway. So the faces take turns beating up Eli Drake, including a reverse stroke by EC3. I don't ever remember seeing this maneuver. So he hits a reverse stroke, and then Eli Drake cuts off EC3 with a power slam. The heels then keep him isolated from Drew so he cannot make the tag. Josh Matthews gives us a Pro Wrestling Tees plug.
Wow.
I thought was interesting, yeah. So
well,
I will now...
That's because their T-shirts are now being done by Pro Wrestling Tees.
You ruined my plug, which is to check out athletetees.com/Tom-Lawler.
Tom, let me ask you a question. I got a bunch of emails when it turned out that TNA was now having their T-shirts done by Pro Wrestling Tees. These people were so amazed. They were disappointed. They thought this was such a disaster for TNA. It made them so low rent and ghetto. Does it really bother you that much? I didn't think it was that big a deal.
It's probably easier.
I'm sure it's a hell of a lot easier.
Plus, I mean, realistically, I don't think that the people going to the TNA store or the TNA shop on their website, they're not going to get as much traffic there as they will on Pro Wrestling Tees. So it's an easier sell.
It's way better for TNA to be using Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah. So whoever told you that is an idiot.
Wow.
Take that.
I don't like to insult the listeners, Tom.
Yeah, all 10 of them are going to be pissed.
Wow.
Okay. So, we get that plug by Josh. EC3 then hits a TK3 for the hot tag. So in comes Drew Galloway. They run wild for a bit. EC3 then hits Eli Drake with a 1%er. The captain, Drew Galloway, pushes EC3 out of the way. Lashley spears EC3. Drew kind of looks on like he doesn't really give a shit. Clotheslines Lashley over the top rope. Pins Eli Drake for the 3 count. And both EC3 and Galloway now have future title shots against Bobby Lashley. We then go to the back, and Bobby Lashley and Drew Galloway apparently raced into the back to have an argument. Drew challenges Bobby Lashley to a street fight, but it's a damn good thing that Lashley is a good Samaritan and refuses, because I have a feeling Drew would be in a lot of pain if they had a street fight. I don't think he's going to lock in the Iron Maiden.
Why not?
If they're in a back alley anywhere. Bobby Lashley would take him down, he would double leg him, and pound the crap out of him. And if he could get him done and out of there in 3 minutes, he'll win. If not, he might gas out. Next, we have Abyss and the Decay in the back. Abyss wants to know who Rosemary has been talking to for help, and if she is pretty. Decay then is in the ring after a commercial break, and Rosemary calls out Bram. She wants Bram to join the Decay. Bram says, "Oh, look, mate, I don't really know what the deal is. I mean, I guess you're kind of hot. But then he turns down their invitation. They beat him down for his troubles and leave him laying. So it appears that we're moving towards a Decay and Bram feud. Although that would mean Bram probably needs a partner. So I'm not sure who that'll be. We have Lashley and EC3 in the back bickering. Lashley tells EC3 that he is in control. And by the end of the night, he'll let EC3 know what Lashley's plan is for his title shot. Next, we have Marti Bell versus Jade, which the match starts off with a double leg by Marti, followed by some ground and pound, and then Jade hits a headbutt from the open guard before landing a few kicks to the chest. This got me thinking because I, previously watched the Women of Honor show this weekend, and I believe it may have been, I don't remember exactly what match, probably I think it was Hanaya, the She-Wolf, kicking Mandy Leon in her ample bosom. That's like the most dangerous spot for a woman.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I mean, if you're surgically enhanced, aren't they worried about popping a titty?
That does happen.
Yeah, it happens for real, for sure.
I know, it's happened in WWE.
Take a look at Valerie.
But I'm not sure it's the most dangerous place to hit a woman.
I think it would be more dangerous than the other option.
Well, I don't know, they sell it like it's dangerous.
I mean, if you get something stuck, it might hurt worse.
I mean, if you stepped on my toe, it'd be worse to be hit in a surgically repaired boob. But if you smashed me in the nose, that would hurt. That'd be bad. Or the eyeball or the neck. But yeah, that's bad, Tom.
Yeah, it's not even the same.
Just thought I'd argue for the hell of it. Bring some life to this show.
Listen, you might want to start by watching Impact. How about that?
Oh, wow.
You know what they...
Let's not get crazy.
Listen, they take like an outside thing that they develop in like in a lab. They place it inside your body that is completely foreign. It's not supposed to be there. That's super dangerous if one of those things pops and leaks. They should take this spot out. And there was a lot of boob kicks in Women of Honor. And they were setting at Mandy Leon.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Brian, outlaw it. It's worse than the...
Hey, dude, I'm not arguing.
Driver. Worse than the pile driver.
No, it's not. It's not worse than the tombstone.
Worse than the curb stomp.
Oh, come on.
Could you imagine doing a curb stomp to Mandy Leon? That's dangerous. Think about it. So they brawl on the outside for a while before Jade goes for a suicide dive, but she gets hit with I think it's like a police boomstick, and Marti beats her for the 3 count. Covers her, pins her, 3 count. Dixie is in the back with Lashley, and she says that next week they need the biggest main event possible. So I checked my phone. Unfortunately, she hadn't called me. Next week, it'll be Lashley versus EC3 versus Drew Galloway for the title. And Lashley, he's cool with it. Next, we have the Miracle, Maria, in the ring, and they call out Dixie and Billy Corgan. Bennett and Maria say that Dixie is incompetent at her job, and Billy, surprisingly, sides with Bennett and Maria. He says, look, I'm not siding with them. I'm siding with the company. And I think Dixie, in light of what's been going on lately, in light of you slapping Maria, you should take a leave of absence. And Dixie argues a little bit. She leaves upset. Miracle says that he wants to be the world champ. He wants an X Division title shot right now to get that world championship opportunity. He says that people don't think he can be in the X Division because he doesn't make enough cool GIFs. And Billy says, you have a chance right now to make headlines. Real headlines. Not internet headlines.
Man.
Yeah.
What's wrong with an internet headline?
Well, apparently nobody gets their news from the internet now.
Oh, yeah, none.
It's a failed medium. We've moved on. So he says, Eddie Edwards, lace up your boots. So Eddie Edwards' music hits, and he comes out, and his boots are already laced. Ha! It's like he knew he had a match coming up next or something. So he comes out immediately. They do some chain wrestling. Bennett is on the apron, but goes for a springboard into the ring, but falls. He trips and falls. I'm not sure if... I'm assuming this was a planned spot because the announcers sold it, saying that he's trying to wrestle in the style of the X Division to show off. And if he wins this match, he will have to wrestle the likes of the Mandrews of the world.
Wow.
I swear to God, that was the first name Josh throws out there.
The Mandrews.
Mike Bennett, we know you pinned EC3 like a month ago. The only man to defeat EC3 legit. But if you win this title, you're going to have to fight the guys like Mandrews. Jesus Christ. So a distraction by Maria lets Bennett hit a cutter for a 2 count. Eddie Edwards fights back with 2 suicide dives. Bennett then cuts him off and goes for the miracle in progress. Gee, I just said it like I have a speech impediment there. A miracle in progress. The miracle in progress, but Edwards slides out, goes for the O'Connor roll, but Bennett counters, grabs the ropes. Also, Maria grabs his hands, and we get a 3 count and the new X Division champion. So it looks like Bennett will indeed have his chance to cash in and go for the title. We then have Robbie E in the back spying on his iPad on Jesse, Goddards, and Raquel, who are outside talking about being bad and that they are hiding something from Robbie. Braxton Sutter then hits the ring, and I'm pretty sure... Man, I don't know if you're probably not going to know this reference because, well, you don't know anything I ever talk about.
How dare you?
But Braxton Sutter hits the ring to wrestle who I believe was Brack.
Brack?
Yes.
Huh.
Brack. Do you know Brack?
I know Brack now.
I want you to look up Brack.
How do you spell it?
B-R-A-K.
Oh, is this from, what the hell? Space Ghost.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct. I actually used to watch Space Ghost for a very short period of time. I don't even know why. There was a reason for it.
Okay.
Who voiced Space Ghost?
Probably Tony the Tiger.
And I gotta find out now.
Oh, I thought it was a trick question.
Now, you numbskull.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be Stagger Lee Marshall.
May have been.
Okay, Brian. Fuck. I might have to do this on my phone, but so it wasn't Brack that they had brought out, but I promise you the guy is a reasonable facsimile thereof. His name was Blam. And when I look for Blam on the internet, let's see, Blam TNA brings up a picture of him. Blam wrestler, Ek Blam, Flyer.
He's a radio guy.
King Blam.
Gotta find out why I watched this show. It's been some sort of tie-in somewhere for some reason that it made me want to watch it.
Well, he hosted like a talk show. Is essentially what it was.
Maybe it's because I read that book, How to Make $1 Million with Your Voice. Could have been why. Space Ghost wrote that book.
The same guy or Space Ghost himself?
The guy that played Space Ghost. You know what? I think I heard Space Ghost on Loveline. He was a guest.
Wait, Space Ghost was on with Dr. Drew?
Yeah. And he was like
Adam Carolla?
And he was totally out of his mind, and it blew my mind. It's all starting to come back to me now.
Space Ghost, the character?
No, the guy that plays Space Ghost.
Oh, it would have been so much better.
But he may have been in character, actually, as Space Ghost, if I recall correctly.
Was Brack on the show?
It may have been. Somebody will remember this, and they'll put it in the thread. But go ahead.
They stopped listening.
No, bullshit. They were like, oh my God, Brian knows Brack? I got to keep listening.
Listen, I'll send you a picture, okay, of Blam. If you look up Blam TNA and then go to like the first picture, you'll see him because that's the only one I can find.
Okay.
It appears to be the same guy under images. Okay, so right after the Impact logo. And then look up Brack. And I dare you to tell me that this guy's not patterned after him.
And maybe he is.
He's got to be. Anyways. Let me go back to my notes here.
What a digression.
So Braxton Sutter hits the ring, and it appears he's going to wrestle Brack. But Rockstar Spud comes out, and he just tells Brack to leave. Like, hey, get out of here. And the guy just kind of like shrugs and, all right, I'm out of here. So he takes off. Rockstar Spud talks about how he's, a superstar. Braxton Sutter is just BS. They love to play off the BS thing. That's the big gimmick with him. It's no BS for Braxton Sutter. But Spud accuses him of being BS. Eventually, Braxton Sutter pushes Spud, and they have an impromptu matchup. Spud moves on a charge by Braxton Sutter in the corner. Sutter gets a little bit of offense and then hits a leaping flatliner for the 3 count. Spud then does the seemingly right thing, claps his hands, congratulates him, tells the crowd he belongs here, out the side of his mouth. He belongs here. Then he lifts Braxton Sutter's hand, kicks him straight in the dick, and starts whipping him with his studded belt.
Straight in the dick? Man.
Yeah, that's where he kicked him. So then we have a Sienna.
That move should be outlawed, Tom.
Yeah, especially with women, especially if you've got a small foot like Spud. We then have the Sienna video package promo thing. I don't know. And then we get the main event, the 6 Sides of Steel match with Broken Matt Hardy versus Brother Nero. Matt Hardy hits the ring. He goes under the ring, starts taking out a multitude of different weapons, a smorgasbord, if you will, of weaponry, ladders, chairs, trash cans, everything you can think of. Piano strings then play over the loudspeakers, and out comes Rebby Sky with a low-cut top and Maxwell on her back. She tells the crowd, look, don't call Broken Matt crazy. You just don't understand his brilliance. Josh then shouts out...
That may very well be true, by the way.
After watching more and more of Broken Matt Hardy, I believe it is. Josh then shouts out the Urban Dictionary for its recent defining of the term Brother Nero.
Really?
Yeah. So
find out.
It's about Matt Hardy. I've seen it. Or Jeff Hardy, I believe. So then Matt hits the ring. Looks like his hair and makeup makes him look like someone's grandma.
So they're making fun of internet headlines, but they're also plugging the Urban Dictionary because some dude went on there and wrote something about Brother Nero.
Is this a comeback?
No.
Is it a heat spot? You just cut me off?
That's right.
In the middle of a sentence there? I don't know. What's the definition? You tell me.
Oh, yeah. This is what he shouted out. You ready, Filthy?
Yep.
Brother Nero, a name created by Matt Hardy, best used to describe an unfaithful traitor, namely Matt Hardy. Wow. That was worth a shout out right there.
Does that really need a definition? I mean, it's pretty much just about one person.
You're right.
It's pretty much restricted.
Yeah, that's it. Wow, yeah. Cool.
Let me go back to the joke I was making before I was so...
Rudely interrupted, I know.
I wasn't even going to say rudely. I mean, it's probably worthwhile. A worthwhile interruption. So as I was saying, Matt hits the ring with his hair and makeup looking like someone's grandma on a bender.
That was worth it.
Yeah. So they have a match. A lot of weapons involved. The story of the match is that no matter what Jeff does to Matt, Broken Matt Hardy will not stay down. Multiple twists of fate. A swanton off the top of the cage, which gets just a 2 count. Eventually, Jeff Hardy decides, today, this Tuesday in the Impact Zone, it's as good a day to try to kill myself as any. He sets up Matt Hardy on a table after a twist of hate. He then puts a chair over Matt Hardy's head, puts another table on top of Matt Hardy. So he has 2 tables stacked on top of one another. Matt Hardy's in the middle. I believe the Pope called it like a coffin. So Matt Hardy has chairs on top of him. Jeff then grabs a ladder and places it against the side of the cage, gets up on top of the ladder, and just does a splash. Now, the problem is he's like 2 feet away from the ladder. And as he does the splash, I'm not sure he ever even hit Matt Hardy. He simply broke through the top table and tipped over and landed full force on his right shoulder. Just like an absolutely awful looking, dangerous looking spot. Matt Hardy is then pinned by Jeff for the 3 count. And that is the end of our show for the week.